Hey, what better way to start any PS1 playthrough than with this super nostalgic loading screen? I mean, this is definitely my childhood. I know it's not just mine. If you're watching this, I'm sure it's part of your childhood too. But enough about things you're nostalgic over and are familiar with. Welcome to the world of Linda³. Linda³ was originally released on the PC Engine in Japan only in 1995. The PC Engine is better known in the West as the TurboGrafx-16. But today we're playing Linda³ Again. It's a PS1 remaster of the game, which also only came out in Japan in 1997. But fortunately in 2024 we got a fan translation patch in English, so that's what we'll be showing you today. The main objective of Linda³ is to get one male and one female species off of the planet before the Grim Reaper asteroid hits. So that's what we're going to be doing for all these playthroughs here. So let's play Linda³ again. So there's 3 scenarios. So we're going to play Scenario A to begin with. All the scenarios are like, think of them as like what-if situations. They all have different story, but I highly recommend starting with either A or B. I wouldn't really recommend starting with C. A and B sort of act as tutorials. They don't have the whole map for you and everything. Would highly recommend starting with these, but you don't have to if you really don't want to. But the game even says, Scenario C is best enjoyed after clearing both A and B. Another thing, too, is there's actually difficulty settings. We're gonna leave it on Mode 2. This is standard speed. If I'm crazy enough at some point, I would consider doing a hard mode playthrough, but we're not doing that yet. We're just gonna do Mode 2, but if you just want speed to go by more slowly... Yeah, there's a time mechanic in this game. There's a lot of, like, little things to keep track of in this game. It's one of the things that fascinates me about it. This game has quickly become, like, one of my all-time favorite games. And I hadn't heard of it until, like, a month ago. So let's just go ahead and do Scenario A. Merry Xmas. So yes, Linda³ is actually a Christmas game, similar to like Parasite Eve is a Christmas game, or like Die Hard is a Christmas movie. You can gather around the fireplace and reminisce over Linda³ with the family. However, I should probably let you know that the lead animator and the art direction was by the same fellow who had worked on the Akira movie. So there's some pretty intense visuals in this game sometimes, so just be mindful of that. But if you're cool with that, for Scenario A, we have a minimum of 30 species to recruit, so let's just go ahead and do that right now. Get started. So we're gonna just go over... I think by the time we get through some story and I explain some basic mechanics in this town, that'll probably be an episode, but we'll see. Ken, how long does it take you to eat? You'll be late again. HQ is only meters from the house, and you're still always late. Your father must be weeping in heaven. Is it from the injury he sustained? Is it still weeping? Like, they should do something about that sore in heaven, if it's weeping still. Mom, there's something important I have to tell you. What's that? What's that, son? What's so important? It's about the asteroid. They still haven't selected a male pilot, so I was thinking. So you may have noticed there's voice acting. It's still in Japanese. We don't have a... It wasn't English voice translated. I don't know how feasible that would even be. Or if you'd even really want it, because, like, who would be doing the voice acting? I mean, maybe if there's a demand for it, like, definitely make your voice heard. You live only once. If you have something to say, say it. But, Mom, I want to. Saved by the telephone. Yeah, similar to Earthbound, you can save the game using the telephone. There's usually payphones outside of any given, like, town. It's not hard to find a save point in this, really. Oh, Sir Late's a lot? Yes, he's coming as we speak. What's that? Ben, don't say such old things to an old lady. Don't say such old-timey things like, nice gams, lass. We don't talk like that anymore. That was the captain reporting to the briefing room at HQ, ASAP. So let's do that. But before we do that, first thing I recommend doing is you see this dog here? So sniff the dog right here. You don't have to sniff the dog, but I like to just to say hi. Then talk to this little girl and she'll say, Ken, I heard my family's moving real soon. Where'd you hear that from? On the playground? So I have a favor to ask. Take care of our doggy Iwa for me, please. Pretty please? Sure, Iwa, take care of your good pup. So yeah, you can actually get pets to accompany you in battle, and you're going to want to do that. We can get a secondary pup from the doghouse here, but we'll do that later. I'll go over some of these other areas here, explain them in greater detail. But let's move the story ahead a little bit. Here's the Rangers HQ. If you can also save right here. Oh, that reminds me. We need to hit the select button. Yeah, let's take a select button here. Alright, let's put everything on turbo. One thing I'll mention about turbo speed that annoys me in battle is if, like, the speed will be instant, but sometimes there's sound effects accompanying an attack, and you still have to wait for those to finish before it can continue. Like, you'll have to wait for that if you're playing it on fast, but it's less noticeable if you are, so bear that in mind. Over here is the bank. There's banks usually in every town. You can do all sorts of things like you would at a bank. You can actually get a loan in this game and have to repay the loan. It's not a bad idea to get a loan to start with. Money's not too hard to come by in this game if you know what you're doing. And it's very easy to come by depending on what you want to do in the game. But we're going to be playing this almost in like a challenge run capacity. I'm going to tell you what parts I'm deliberately not interacting with. But if you want to go ahead and interact with them, they will be... You'll be just swimming it. You'll be like Scrooge McDuck diving into his fortune. But yeah, you can withdraw your $100 from the bank. Yeah, and like I said earlier, there's like a time mechanic in this game, so if you deposit your money and the season changes over, while your money's in the bank, you actually get 3% interest. So it's something to bear in mind. I don't think you lose money when you die in this game, just some of the animals that you collect. But yeah, if you leave your money in the bank, it will accrue a little bit of interest. But yeah, you can look at your bank statement, you can see your wages and everything. I think it's a pretty cool feature. So yeah, especially if you have an inkling that the season's about to change over, just put your money in the bank. You know, get that 3% interest, why not? But yeah, we can also take out a loan, which we will do in a moment, but not quite yet. My job is to kick you animal-beaten rangers back into shape. If you die in the game, this is where you restart. This is a solid gig for me. There aren't many rangers left to work on, and the retirement pay is incredible. Let's talk to this gentleman. Access your voicemail via payphone to hear any calls you missed while hunting. It's a payphone in every gate leading in and out of towns right by the door. You should use it. Rangers get free service, so we can call as often as we like. Which is great, because otherwise you might get stuck somewhere you don't want to, probably. No matter how many poachers we arrest, it's only a drop in the bucket for fixing the poaching problem at large. I say strip all the poachers naked and leave them out in a desert wasteland. If they make it back alive, they can go. If they don't, it means the animals got their revenge. Can we talk to this guy? Yeah, no matter how rare a species is or what Class A protections that species may or may not have, the Grim Reaper will kill every animal left behind, so help them. You have to make every year count. Even though he's arrested, he has a very good point, especially since you're trying to fill up the ark, or you will be soon enough. This door is locked. You can't get in here yet. There's various and sundry locked doors in this game. I think there's like 9 keys or something like that, so just be on the lookout for those. So, first things first, let's go over here and look at the pinup girl that changes every year. There she is, 91. I think that's Linda right there. I don't know when she signed up for the modeling gig, but maybe that was just her gig before female Astro Arc pilot. Greetings, Sir Late-Salot. You're a half hour late. Yeah, surprising no one. But you're today's big star, so we're letting it slide. Get in there, champ. My name's Ken, not Champ. Sir Late-Salot, how good of you to finally join us. Let's get to business. Getting down and dirty, down to business. In position, Ken. Don't stand there like an idiot. But I like to. I like to stand similarly to how an idiot would stand. Before we get this over with, would anyone like a rundown? Yes, let's have a rundown. We'll show you one of these excellent FMV anime cutscenes. So as we all know, the giant meteorite we call the Grim Reaper is expected to make impact with Neo-Kenya in 8 years' time. This, right here, remember him? Experts say this bad boy is going to eradicate all life on our planet. After that, its surface will remain uninhabitable for some 20,000 years. That's a long time. As if that Fed-saddled evacuation had sucked up enough vacation time. 1 month ago, God went and dropped another doozy on us. Yeah, he dropped us an Ark. It's quite literally a Noah's Ark story. This Ark landed in 014 a while ago. With it came an absurd commandment made of stone. The stone engraved itself before our eyes with its own set of demands. In layman's terms, those are as follows. Save the animals in Neo-Kenya. Kenya? Board 1 male and female from each species onto the Ark and let a human couple fly it into space. You know, a couple of times. Now, I'm sure most of you know my take on it by now. Does God write our checks? No, sir. But much to my chagrin, the Federation does. And they're so head over heels with the idea they can't wait to find pilots. Of course, it doesn't help that one dipstick already volunteered. Who would that be? Who would be that dipstick? Yep, a friend of this dipstick. Do you guys remember Linda? Oh, my lifelong friend. Linda's half native Dacian and is perfectly built for animal hunting. You could say that. You like foul-mouthed hussies? Or think timid girls? Something? Well, congrats, she's as pushy as they come. She's also a bottomless pit, so good luck feeding her. So there you have it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime, no experience necessary deal. I won't force anyone to volunteer. But if you do have what it takes to be with Linda, press the circle button. Is that on my... And that's our situation. Over. So we're all standing here with, like, a remote control with a circle button on it. Well, I'm gonna press my circle button in IRL, and hopefully that means Ken will also push his circle button. It seemed to work. You better think this over, no matter where that space bucket will take you. Tell me more. Tell me more, Captain McDonald. Ben McDonald. That's a zero safety guarantee. You sure you can handle that? I'm ready. There, we have it. Ken is officially the human male pilot of the Ark. Assist him where you can, but otherwise leave him be to do his job, would you? Okay. That's all, everyone. Dismissed. That was simple. There, now I get to save the ecosystem. Hope you're sure about this, Ken. There's no crying for a do-over. I can reload the game. What do you mean? Your first mission is aboard the Ark and register before you change your mind. I won't. I won't be changing my mind. Alright. Great. Congrats, Ken. Your lovely princess awaits. Oh, this bump on my head. I, slipped on a banana. Why don't you head downstairs? I will head downstairs. I will walk downstairs. I'm gonna take my entire person downstairs. Oh, there's Linda hiding away. Got a present for me, I see that. Is that a baguette? How did she remember that I like baguettes? Oh my heavens. Oh, strike. Home run. Don't tell me you're dumber than usual, not dodging that. Someone sure took a sweet time to volunteer. Well, they call me Sir Lates-a-lot for a reason. It's worried they've selected someone else for the male pilot, you know. So tell me, Ken. Care to explain why you're still level 1? I love this little meta bit here. I'm just a teenage girl, and even I'm level 2. You should be at least level 3 by now. But if your darling Linda asks you to grind to level 3, you'll do it, won't you? Of course. Why else are we here? Of course I will. Yes, Linda. Not level 1, not level 2. I'm already level 1. Come on now. Give me a little credit. I'm level 1. I'm the lowest level possible. Come on. I want level 3, understand? Until you reach level 3, don't bother talking to me. Oh, you're also a poet. I see. Well, toodaloo. Linda, come back. Thanks. Oh, and Ken, thank you for volunteering. My pleasure. Pleasure's all mine. Okay, Mom, I'm all done here. How you doing? Sorry, Kenny. Linda's always been a handful ever since you were kids. Anna? I think I know her name. Promise me, Kenny, no matter what happens, take care of our Linda. Well, I mean, that's my job. That's what I signed up for. Please. said I would. Jeez, Linda's mom, listen to me. The Neo-Kenyan Migration Project will succeed. We have Ranger Pride on our side. See, there's lots of rhyming everywhere. But yeah, the planet you're on is called Neo-Kenya. If you hunt animals long enough, your hunting level or level will go up a higher level. Learn special survival skills of, you know, very typical RPG fare information. We don't need to save it yet. We can save it off screen, just know you can talk to that person or otherwise go to a phone. Here is a toss a coin into the fountain of lovers, yes. Toss 1G into the fountain. I don't know if that actually does anything, but I always do it. So let's go ahead and actually take a loan out. Let's get a loan, and I don't mean leave me alone. So let's take a loan out. We'll take out 400. This will allow us to get another pupper. Yeah, repayment starts at 20G, due next summer. If you don't pay it back, they just... I don't know if they garnish your wages or you just don't get paid. But, you know, just for the start of the game, it doesn't take long to pay that back. There's some stuff you can do that, like, you wouldn't even need a loan. But I'm not gonna get into that just yet, because that area is not in this town. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So, yeah, let's start out at the dog house. So the dog center, if you talk to this lady, if your darling dogs ever get hurt, bring them to me before it's too late. So yeah, so if any of your pets get hurt, bring them back to her. Like I had mentioned earlier, there's like a time flow mechanic in this game. It seems that the longer you wait to bring your dog to get healed, the more it costs to fix them. So if your dogs ever get knocked out, it might be in your best interest to, you know, abort whatever you're doing and rush right back and heal them. It can trip you up a little bit if you're early and on a run. So let's shop for a pup. Let's have another, we'll take a fella pup. So we will name this pup, Puppy. Adopt Puppy, yes. There, good, now we have 2 puppers. Also, if you are in the wild, this is another option, you could do this instead if you really want. But if you find a dog in the wild, you can tame them. You need a dog first. But if you find one before registering it on the Ark or what have you, you can bring them here and you can tame them. So you're welcome to do that as well. There's other stuff you can do at dog houses, but not right now. EQ, as you may have assumed, is you can get equipment. You don't generally want to buy equipment in this game, but sometimes when you're starting, it's not a horrible idea. There's so many craft shops in the world, you should take full advantage of them. So how the game normally works is how... Okay, so let's just go in, let's chat. There are 4 types of equipment to craft. Weapons, hats, clothing, and shoes. Yes, this game has a crafting system. It was 95, but this was made 97. Linda³ Again. What you can make depends on what animals you're willing to spend as parts. Write this down. So yeah, simply put, you collect 10 male weapons, or you collect 10 males, you can turn them into a weapon, you can process them into a weapon. 5 females, you can get body armor, 3 females for a hat, 2 females for shoes. That's the only way you can get weaponry in this game, either process it yourself or go to an equipment place. So, you can either go to him and, like, make it here and it will cost you money. Eventually, you'll be able to make this stuff yourself at camp, which I would recommend because this gets expensive. But if you're just getting started, it's not always the worst idea to maybe buy one of these upgrades here. Like, we can get a squid suit for 36G, which raises our defense by 2. Like, it's not crazy, but we're just starting, so it's not a horrible idea. So we'll go ahead and do that. There's also, you know, this whole menu here. How do I... Yeah, if you hit the select button, it'll tell you what does what, if anything is unclear to you. Oh, did I hit select? Start here. It's a way you can swap the Ken thing down bottom. How do we do that? Oh, it's R1. Probably also L1. Yeah, you can either just have that out. I always like to have it on this screen. I just find it interesting how it's like, oh, you're as strong as a moth, your defense is as good as a squid, and you're as fast as a maggot. Or you can just see what your equips are. There's also, like, fast buttons, so like if you're just walking around the screen like this, if you hit R2, brings up your items, you hit R1, the animal bible can't be booted here. That's like if you see an animal in the overworld and you want to scan it, which I highly recommend you do. I'm probably going to forget 95% of the time, but you should really do that, because you might get obliterated if you don't. We'll talk about that more next episode. If you hit L1, it'll bring up your TCU, which is the trans cargo unit. That's where you keep your animals. And finally, L2 will bring up your weapon menu. You see all these fancy numbers, don't worry about it too much, but like, just know that if it's in pink, it goes up, if it's in blue, it goes down. But you know, ice resistance is up a little bit, elect goes up by 2, death resistance goes up by 2, we get 2 more defense. Usually I just go by rote, just defense. And if there's like a tie and some differences in like the secondary stuff, I worry about it there. But that's how I like to do it. And by all means, if you have any questions about any of this, ask me in the comments, but some of this I might just not have gotten to yet, and if so, I'll mention, like, hey, I'll get more in depth about this in a future episode. Good day, sir. You want meats? You got them. So, if you want healing, you can take them to the meat shop. With animals, you can craft weapons, armors, hats. Yeah, weapons, armor, hats, weapons, and food. I didn't realize... I thought I misspoke, but no, it says weapons twice. They're so useful. The more I think about it, humans are the least useful creatures alive. But yeah, you can just buy, you know, like Pig Frank or whatever. Another thing to bear in mind is, because of the time flow mechanic, your food can rot. So if you buy, you know, a Pig Frank and you don't eat it for a couple of seasons, it will become rotten meat. However, there is a monster later that will approach you if you have rotten meat in your inventory. So it might make your life easier to just buy like a Pig Frank to begin with. I don't really know if there's a tangible deficit in the game if you have rotten meat in your inventory, other than it just takes up space. Because you do have limited space. Which I don't think I touched on, but you indeed do. You have, I don't know how many spots, 32 or so. You do have a storage, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, you can go here, you can see what kind of animals are in the world. If they're blacked out, it means you can't get them in that scenario. If it's red, it means you haven't put them on the Ark yet. So they're all gonna be red right now. Same for both meat and equipment. The higher its quality, the higher its price. What sucks is no one hiking those prices is hunted for a day in their life. So let's go over to this fella here. Not happy with their animal collection? Let's trade. All you have to do is catch some animals, right? Well, you don't have to catch them, per se. Good, then buy a squirrel or ostrich while you're here and file that. So yeah, you don't necessarily have to, like, catch an animal, but if you can buy it, or sometimes you can get them as a reward. Some places you can find them in cryogenic storage. So let's talk to this guy, see what animals he has for sale. Okay, so we could go ahead and fight some pigs. And we're gonna want to do that anyway. Interestingly, he also has a dog for sale. Forgive me, I just edited out clearing my throat. So we're gonna go ahead and just buy one of each pig, because we're gonna go out and catch some in a minute anyway, because we want experience, but since we have to go to the Ark, we might as well just have some animals to hand over. Because you do get more... You get experience for every animal you put on the Ark, or rather, Ken, your main character, for every male you put on the Ark, he gets more stats. For every lady creature, Linda gets more stats. So we'll just go ahead and buy one of each here. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and do that then. Do I eat the meat, sell the meat, or save it for materials to make a new pair of shoes for myself? Better think this over before I roll out. It's very much worth thinking about. So also a hotel, which I'm sure comes as no surprise. You can sleep here, it recovers all your stats and stuff. Pertaining to the time flow mechanic, I'm not sure if you stay at a hotel, because there's an NPC later that says, anything you do where you close your eyes, it can affect the flow of time. So I don't know if you stay at a hotel if it means that like X amount of time goes by. As far as I can tell, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, I'll talk about this more next episode, but as far as I can tell, if you're on the overworld, time flows normally. If you're in a dungeon, time flows at some sort of a reducted rate. I think it's like half. I haven't timed it out yet, but I think that's the case. It doesn't seem to be the case with sleeping, but maybe it's different for a hotel. If you know, let me know in the comments. If I ever find out, I'll mention it in another video. What else is here? In case you forget, the asteroid is due south beyond the gate. Yeah, can't miss it. Let's just talk to a few more NPCs in the area. If you leave town and press circle, you'll see a map east area. Yeah, don't forget pressing circle, that's very helpful. Neo-Kenya has 3 open regions, east, west, and south. West area is 12 blocks leftward. That is indeed the case. It's weird how they have it set up, because, like, they have the 3, but they're, like, north. Or was it, they don't have north? Just east, south, and west. But, like, how else do you do it, I guess? It's just weird, because, like, the west one has, like, snow at the top. I think it would have made more sense if it was north, but... Sometimes you'll need to hold still. Yeah, and think about your and think about your future like I'm doing now. Oh, okay, yeah, when you need to pause, press the select button to stop the clock and sneak that pee break in. I thought he was explaining something different, but maybe not. Again, I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself, but I thought he was trying to hint towards, like, enemy spawn rates. But I don't think that's what he was mentioning, he's just letting you know there's a time flow mechanic. And don't forget, Grim Reaper's expected to hit Neo-Kenya. If you want to get hung or get hanged on Neo-Kenyan soil, you're short on time. Yeah, we start in 91. Meteor will be here in 99. Directions. In the past, directions sound like head north and stick east on the mountain, but now, thanks to the Navi system, you can say the cave is in H8 and be set. It's in hate. But yeah, everything's on like a grid, so you can be like, hey, this thing is on Q17. We Rangers sure are getting the short end of the stick. At the start, we only had to deal with animals and poachers. And then we had to take over for the police, and now we get to babysit this big-ass migration project. I'm not having it. Well, you should. Press X button to dash. It does expand stamina, so use it sparingly. You don't want to pounce an animal only to realize you enter combat with 30 HP. That's true, but also, if you're in town, you can run and it doesn't deplete your HP. So bear that in mind. And, like, I should have been doing that, but I have a tendency to just kind of walk around a lot. Well, let's just show off a few more things outside of town here. Oh, it's Santa! Merry Christmas, Ken. Linda sent you a Santagram. Oh, that Linda. Always thinking about me. Meet me in room 102. Don't forget. Okay, if I can ever find room 102. Thanks, Santa. Anytime, brother. Your girl's freaking cute. How I'd kill to be you. Santa, you don't need to be jealous of me. You're Santa. I'm jealous of you. You're famous. You're like one of the most famous, beloved people on Neo-Kenya. Here's some advice I like to give to you Greenhorn Rangers before you leave town. First, check the Navi system with Square. Always know your location. See an animal of interest? Look it up in the Animal Bible with the R1 button. If all else fails, it never hurts to button mash and see what pops up. Yeah, this guy, keep your extra belongings safe in the storage unit. So yeah, you can store up to 32 more things in here if you wish, which you may very well wish. Notably, animals in the area are pig, ostrich, and the dragonfly. So yeah, usually outside of town, they'll give you some indication what kind of monsters can be found out here, which appears in autumn. We advise all tourists to hire an escort, level 2 or higher. Escort, lol. Dogs are also known to roam the area, so please be careful. Happy travels. Thanks. Even if you need to get a loan from the bank to adopt them, I recommend having 2 hunting dogs on every trip. I don't necessarily recommend that. I do hit a point where I don't use the dogs anymore, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Up here's the bird line. Think of it as like an airport. How would you like to travel today? And then you can just choose to fly to any of these places, or you can get a transfer, which makes it cheaper, but I have to assume it takes longer. I've never used the transfer service. However, one thing that I overlooked until pretty late into my playthrough, if you check drop, our drop service takes you over the coordinates you specify. Service, it always costs $14.80, but whatever your map you're in, right now we're in the east map. If you choose this service, it will drop you exactly in the coordinate you want to go, so you don't even have to walk there. It can save you a lot of time depending on the situation. Especially if you don't have to navigate through a dungeon or whatnot. Pretty helpful. Yes, and also they sell escape devices, which instant escape from caves, dungeons, which is helpful. And the flash beacon, which just instantaneously returns you to town if you're on the overworld. Which I'm not going to worry about too much here. And lastly, we got the telephone. In addition to saving the game, there's a few other features here. Like you can check your bank statement. You can even withdraw money through the bank statement somehow. There is a lottery in the game. For 100G, dreams can come true. So yeah, during the summer we can go there. Try to win 100,000 G, which would be very helpful for this playthrough. and check your voicemails, which is where integral stuff is. If you don't know what to do, sometimes to check your voicemail, something might have snuck in there you didn't remember. Forecast. There's a weather system in this game. OSAT's Weather Global Autumn Forecast. East area floods 87% likely. West area snow 43%. South area floods 77%. So sometimes not only will it it will change, you know, whether it's raining or not outside. Sometimes it'll change the overworld where like certain dungeons will get flooded and stuff like that. So it's really quite interesting. It's something to bear in mind if you're trying to find all the monsters. You might have to wait for certain weather patterns in order to get them. And then we got Miss Helga here as the psychic hotline. I don't really use her too much, but maybe now that I've played through the game, I might understand some of her vague hints. Do you seek fate, love in the world? Call Miss Helga and believe. All forms of flesh, naive goddesses? Yes, be all that you can be. So yes, and lastly, we can just save the game here. Which I'll just go ahead and do that off screen. So next time on Linda³ Again, we're gonna go outside the town and we're gonna talk more about how the battle system works, animal recruitment, and maybe even forward the story a little bit more. So thanks again, folks, for joining, and I'll see you in the next episode.